Nika just got revealed as something terrifying. Not only the god who frees the world, but the god who destroys it. And the world has already been wiped out twice. So, here's the wild theory. What if Nika'S fruit was split in two, and the Luffy we're watching only carries half of the real sun god's power? Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Today we're breaking down One Piece 1166, and trust me, this episode hands us answer after answer about Nika. Also hit subscribe, it actually helps a lot. We finally meet the sun god as both liberator and destroyer. We learn the world drowned more than once, and we meet the cursed prince of Elbaf. So stick around, because by the end I'll show you why I think Nika'S fruit might genuinely be incomplete, and what that means for Luffy's final form. Okay, so let's talk about how the episode opens. Luffy's tearing into a giant slab of elk meat while Jarul explains that most humans can never reach the world of the sun. Humans usually arrive, assume the underworld is the real Elbaf, get scared, and run. And honestly, I love that Oda broke the fourth wall here, because that's exactly what we fans assume too. Jarul tells the giants his old adventures, like beating the giant Oars, and one giant calls Oars a legendary ferocious warrior even among the giants of Elbaf. That's new for us. We never saw much between the evil giants and the normal ones. But it hints something bigger, because maybe titans even larger than Oars once existed. Remember that colossal sword stabbed into Onigashima? Oars would look small next to a weapon like that. So maybe those first titans were giants, who literally walked above the clouds. And I think we'll actually see more of how the giants shrank over time, especially as they mixed with other races. It's a piece of lore I've wanted for years. Back at the feast, the giants are fascinated by Jinbei and Brook, since they've never seen other races. Then Zoro casually mentions a giant nearly lost his head. Just the mention makes the giant fall flat on his back in fear. Zoro's aura really is something else. Remember when he made Monet shake so hard she couldn't control her power? Then the giants explain their dream. Every giant wants to become the sun god himself and rule the world. And the second they say it, a brawl breaks out. Why the fight? Because nobody agrees on what the sun god even is. Some call him the god of liberation. Others swear he's the god of destruction. One just calls him the god who laughs. For me, that duality is the whole point. Luffy frees people and entire countries, but he always leaves total destruction in his wake. He fits the sun god perfectly. Think about it. Even after Arabasta, with Vegapunk's message playing worldwide, people still hated Luffy as a pirate and blamed him for the chaos alongside Crocodile. The whole feast scene is just pure fun, giants laughing and drinking, before the episode quietly shifts into something much darker. And this changes everything. That Liberator versus Destroyer split lines up with Madame Charlie's vision, the one where Luffy destroys Fishman Island. So, whether Nika is a savior or a destroyer is really subjective. It probably just means both are needed. Break the old world so a new one can be born. That's literally Ragnarok. And here's the thing. Jarul says Elbaf's mythology is written in an ancient language nobody can translate, so it's been interpreted 100 different ways. And one myth says the world has already been destroyed twice. If you've watched my older videos, you know I've been saying One Piece's world flooded twice for years. The first flood we know about happened 800 years ago, when the sea rose 200 meters. The second is theorized at over 1500 years ago, tied to the creation of the Red Line. But here's the part most people miss. The Red Line didn't appear during the Void Century. The Lunarians lived up there long before the world government ever took it. So that red wall existed ages ago, and Joy Boy probably tried to destroy it. That's what One Piece and the ancient weapons he left behind were actually for. Honestly, I think Reverse Mountain was Joy Boy's attempt to break the Red Line, the first and only shot of the ancient weapon Pluton, and it failed. His plan collapsed, he lost, and the world sank under the sea. And very likely it was Emu who caused that flood, while Nika took the blame for the destruction. How do we even know these dates? Oda revealed 1542 years in an SBS, the little Q&A where he answers fan letters. And it lines up perfectly. One Piece has two calendars, the Age of the Skies, going back 5,000 years, and the current Sea Circle Age, which started about 1,500 years ago, confirmed by Nolan's logbook. So, the world was destroyed twice, once making the Red Line, once in the Great Flood, and now the third time is coming, with Luffy as the one who breaks it. Nolan sailed around 400 years ago, and his logbook is dated 1120. Using that as a guide, you can place One Piece's story in the 15th century of the sea calendar. And the age of the skies probably points to when the gods and races from space first arrived. 2 timelines, 2 destructions, and it all keeps pointing back to Nika. This is where it gets really wild. Loki is tied to Jormungandr, the world serpent, and the red line is literally called the serpent bathed in blood. In Norse myth, that serpent is Loki's child. Maybe that's why Loki calls himself the sun god and swears he'll destroy the world because his fruit is needed to break the red line. As Jarul talks, we see an ancient image of Nika from Elbaf's mythology. White curly hair, white clouds drifting around his neck, exactly like Luffy in Gear 5. He's holding a sword and a shield, and on that shield is the ancient kingdom symbol, a little sun with 8 points around it. We've seen that same symbol everywhere. In Skypiea, in Wano, even in Kuma's church. It always shows up in kingdoms that allied with the ancient kingdom long ago. For me, that sun symbol screams heliocentrism. The idea that the sun is the center of everything, a truth that got erased so the world would orbit Emu instead. That's exactly why the Gorosei are named after planets, circling Emu like a fake solar system. Meanwhile, the ancient kingdom kept Nika at the center of all its technology. So Nika was the first sun god, Joy Boy the second, and now Luffy is the third. And some fateful event made the myth split into 2 opposite meanings, a liberator and a destroyer. What if that split was a literal split of the fruit? Vegapunk told us a person's dreams and desires are what create devil fruits. So, if the giant myth of 2 Nika'S is ancient enough, who's to say 2 versions of that fruit weren't created? Joy Boy got the incomplete Kuma no Mi and needed the other half. And here's where Blackbeard comes in. What if some great enemy holds the destroyer Nika? His dark fruit might even get renamed. Who else desired darkness that deep? Now imagine the twist. Luffy eating a second Kuma no Mi like Blackbeard did, not for a second power, but to reunite the sun god that was split apart. That theory is insane, and I love it. The first destruction, making the red line, involved the original Nika, the deity before it ever became a fruit. The second involved Joy Boy, who showed up with his Akuma no Mi. So, if there really was an evil Nika, where did that fruit go? That gap is exactly what makes the split fruit idea so hard to ignore for me. Okay, so let's talk about Loki. Luffy says Nika is the guy Bonnie keeps mentioning. Jarul adds that everyone searching for hope looks to him, without exception. Nika appears as a figure in white robes, wrapped in white clouds, arriving with booming laughter. And Luffy finally realizes that's why everyone said he looked like Nika. Then Jarul drops another bomb. What happened to King Harold and to Loki might be the result of them trying to become Nika themselves. That's a fascinating little detail. Luffy asks if Loki is a good person, and every giant freezes in shock. Then they explain, no, Loki is not a good person at all. His chaos earned him the title of Cursed Prince. And it started before he was even born. King Harold got a prophecy that his own son would kill him. Soon after Loki's birth, he killed the royal family's lucky horse. That same year, Big Mom killed the legendary warrior Jorul. Disasters hit the country one after another. The queen died a year later, and as a 10-year-old, Loki tamed ferocious beasts, set things on fire, and turned those monsters loose on his own village. His pranks put lives in danger more times than anyone could count. With his royal authority and his terrible personality, he spread terror while Harold was away. And the king was always away. Jarl even took a sword to the head trying to stop Loki from killing his father. Lucky for him, his helmet saved his life. But Loki still killed King Harold, then sailed out to spread chaos. Until 6 years ago when he was captured by Shanks and brought back to Elbaf. And Luffy lights up the second he hears the name Shanks. This part is great, because Loki's special bounty is still active, and Shanks never handed him to the Marines. For me, this reframes Shanks completely. He's not just drinking and wandering around, he's a real political player, saving regions and making alliances, just like Luffy. No wonder Elbaf adores him. Loki really did sail the seas, which explains his special bounty and why it's still active. But Shanks captured him and chose Elbaf over the Marines. And the fact that Shanks is the one who stopped Loki 6 years ago is huge for the world building. He's been shaping events from the shadows this whole time. Meanwhile, Zoro notices Luffy sneaking around the village. Luffy's actually hunting for a key to free Loki, and Zoro warns him that Loki is a liar. Nami catches them scheming, and she and Zoro decide to tag along to keep an eye on Loki. Although Nami's real goal is obviously the treasure. I love that callback. It's been ages since Nami chased treasure like the early days. Honestly, it's a fun little nod to where this whole crew started. But here's the crazy part. Down in the underworld, Shanks' brother and a hooded woman arrive to recruit Loki for the God's Knights. Loki laughs and refuses, saying he won't become scum. He asks if they're world nobles and they say nothing, so the God's Knights aren't all nobles after all. I think they want Loki for Elbaf's raw strength and its army. Then the woman shares her intel. Every agent they sent to Elbaf was attacked and vanished, attacked by a giant crow. So they have nothing on Loki's weakness. And get this, all those prisoners in Loki's playroom were actually world government agents caught by his crow. He was doing the giants a huge favor with his weird obsession and didn't even know it. Then the hooded woman removes her cloak, and we see her name, Gunko. Gunko is the first character in One Piece with heterochromia, 2 different colored eyes. She has bandages on her arms and legs, hinting at her devil fruit. Her power is controlling arrows, shaped like bandages, and it's genuinely one of the coolest abilities Oda's introduced lately. A giant wolf appears behind them, out of nowhere. Gunko instantly wraps the wolf's neck and hangs it in midair. Loki screams for his friend, and Shanks' brother offers a deal, the wolf's life for Loki joining them. Guard that name, Loki, because he's about to deliver one of the heaviest monologues Oda has ever written. The wolf is choking, and Loki doesn't even flinch. And then Loki delivers one of the best lines in the entire series. He looks them dead in the eye and says, "So this is the deal you want to make? Then this is your sad fate, my friend. Rest in peace. A warrior doesn't lose his calm before death. I'll swallow this fury and use it as fuel to burn this world to ash." Phenomenal. Ragnarok means the end of the world, but it also marks rebirth and change. Exactly what Emu and the world government would fight to prevent, to keep their power forever. So here's what it all comes down to. This is directly tied to Nika being both destroyer and liberator. Luffy has to tear down the world government to free its people. And then rebuild the world from zero, with the freedom they finally won. Loki's full story is coming soon, and the God's Knights are active now, but still deeply mysterious. But the question I keep coming back to is the fruit. Was Nika'S power really split in the past? Is the Luffy we're watching just a weaker version of the Sun God? Think about it. Why call him the Sun God when he hasn't shown anything sun-related yet? For me, he has to become complete, probably by eating one more devil fruit. Maybe that's the Mother Flame. Maybe it's a second Kuma no Mi. Either way, I genuinely believe Luffy hasn't reached his true peak as Nika yet. The real Sun God is still coming. So, tell me in the comments, if Nika'S fruit really was split, who holds the destroyer half? Blackbeard? Someone we haven't met. Drop your theory. I read every single one. And honestly, thank you for hanging out this long. It means the world. I'll see you in the next breakdown. Take care, everyone.